from FeeO'Shea.com, vegan author, coach and conscious consumer. And as it is the end of, or just about the end of 2016, and we're about to head off into a brand spanking new year, 2017, I thought that I would, in this video, go through some of the wins that have happened. Some of the sort of the things that touched me rather than perhaps maybe weren't mainstream. I'm not sure, you may not have heard them. So yeah, it's been an interesting old year. But what I'd like to start off with is a statistic that I came across, that 94% of Americans believe it's important that animals used for food are not abused. And I found that rather interesting. It's like, do they not know where their food comes from? Do they not know or understand that the food, the meat that they buy in the supermarket, the animal, maybe it's lived a free-range life, but at the end of the day, it still has to go to the slaughterhouse and it still has to go through that process, which is not nice. It is classified as abuse. I don't care what anyone says. So this 94%, I mean, when I come across meat eaters who are absolutely adamant that they will continue to eat meat, one of the things I say is that I just say to them, you know, well, as long as you know where your meat comes from, then, you know, that's fine. Because if they really delve into it, they will understand what sort of life these animals have. Now all we need to do is just to take a little bit more action and get this 94% reducing the amount of animal that they consume, or taking it out altogether would be even better. There's been sort of like quite a bit on the egg industry. In the US, the top 25 grocers announced their cage-free egg timeline. So what they will be selling now is no longer caged eggs, and some of them are next year, some of them are 2018, etc. So, but that's awesome. In New Zealand here, McDonald's announced that they would be using only free-range eggs in 2017. Now that's only next year, and all their outlets will be only using free-range eggs. Now, I believe that there are a couple of other fast food outlets that have also adopted this policy too. And what it means is that the spin-off from that is that because there's going to be an increase in free-range farming, it's going to bring more free-range eggs into the marketplace, which means in turn that the supermarkets, that the price, with more demand of these free-range eggs, the price should be able to come down, which means that, you know, hey, that's a bonus or a win for the consumer as well. So hopefully we are going to see a reduction in price for the free-range eggs. In Australia, the Woolworths chain of supermarkets this year now only sell cage-free eggs, so that can be barn-raised eggs and free-range, but no longer sell caged eggs. So, you know, I mean, that's a biggie. That's a huge step, and it's a huge step in the right direction as well. So in New Zealand, SAFE, which is an organisation I belong to, launched a campaign for Countdown, which is a subsidiary of the said aforementioned Woolworths. Countdown supermarkets, we have asked them to also follow in their parent company footprints and only sell caged free eggs. You know, all we ask is that they commit to a date, set a timeline on when they would bring this in. So far they haven't actually sort of given us anything, so the campaign is continuing. But in saying that, it has had a massive response from the public. It's been wonderful to hear these people saying, really got to get the chickens out of cages. Now also this year, what happened in New Zealand was it was announced that battery cages, that's the small cages, are to be phased out by 2022. And, you know, we were all going, woohoo, that is absolutely amazing. However, the egg industry managed to get that replaced by colony cages. So the battle will continue on that one. And if you don't know the difference, go look at it, because at the end of the day, the colonies are still cages. I don't care what anyone says. But there are many small groceries, restaurants and fast food outlets around the world that have committed to no longer supporting the caged egg industry, and that is a real bonus, because the chickens, or poultry in general, turkeys and ducks, are not classified as animals in a lot of countries, and they do not have any rights whatsoever. Cows may do, and sheep, etc. The animals may do, but poultry has no rights. So it's awesome to sort of see that there is a step in the right direction there. Now, in the United States, the Right to Farm Act, and I don't know if you know about this act at all, but basically it was brought in to stop the suing thing that goes on in the States, where you can sue for anything. But it meant that no one could no longer sue a farmer for the practices that he does on his farm. And so, you know, they kind of like brushed over it, and they sort of said, well, you know, a farmer can get on with his job, and he can be doing, you know, what he does best, and that's farming. But what in actual fact it means is that he can do all sorts of absolutely, you know, reprehensible things, you know, to his animals, like extreme confinement and mutilation without painkillers, etc. I mean, you know, this is just awful. Well, the Humane Society of the US, and I'm getting to the win, the Humane Society of the US, along with some other organizations, set out to bring this out into the public arena and lift the lid on it and blow the whistle about this Right to Farm Act. So what has happened is, the win is that they have been able to stop the Right to Farm measure, which is being introduced into some state legislators, which is amazing. And in other states, the work will continue, and hopefully they will actually, you know, it will be culled altogether, this Right to Farm Act. Another brilliant win was the Blackfish Bill, which was passed, which bans SeaWorld and other corporations from imprisoning orcas for profit. So that is amazing. Now, SeaWorld has always sort of maintained that they are not there for profit. They are there to educate and all this sort of stuff, which is a load of rubbish as far as I'm concerned. But the win is that SeaWorld also stopped their breeding program for orcas, which was massive. Now, this entire bill, I think, has been brought about by the Blackfish movie. And if you haven't watched it, go watch it, because I think you will be able to see then what a massive win this bill is. That's a corker one. France, getting over to Europe, France became the first country to totally ban neonicotinoids, or neonics as I like to call them, which is pesticides which kill bees. And it is a complete and permanent ban. And what it does, it goes way beyond the ban that the EU put out there in 2013, which banned it. Now, I do actually have another video, if you want to go find it, on the bees, which has a petition that goes with that, because Bayer is about to, if they haven't already started, to sue, or they've put in a lawsuit to the UE about, because they're wanting to bring these pesticides back in, obviously. So, but France goes beyond that, and they have permanently banned this particular pesticide, which is amazing for the bees. A really good win for the bees. Another corker little story that I heard, that I read about, was that a medical centre in Morristown, New Jersey, was found to be using live dogs for medical training. So now, I don't know who discovered this, and I don't know who put up this campaign, but a big huge billboard campaign went up, And they had, you know, this great big huge billboard, and they had the dog there, and it was, you know, big eyes as dogs have, and looking all sad and pensive, and saying that this, and blatantly coming out with, you know, this medical centre has got to stop this thing. So the good news was that the medical centre actually did stop this appalling practice, which is absolutely brilliant. Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus ended their elephant performances. It's like, whoa, how long has that been going on for? And how long have we been trying to get them to stop that? So they took the elephants off the road in response to the growing public concern over how the animals were treated. I believe that the elephants have gone into sort of like a sanctuary and are now being looked after, you know, living their life out in the way, you know, nicely and happily, hopefully. There is no need for animals in circus. I mean, look at Cirque du Soleil. They put on an amazing, amazing show, and they have not one animal in there. So we don't have to have animals in circuses anymore. That is sort of, you know, such an outdated thing. The number of tigers, pandas, and manatees all increased, which is really, really good. And they increased quite substantially. And if this keeps going, we may be able to take them off the endangered list, which would be awesome. And then just the other day, this happened only recently, like in the last couple of weeks, there was a New Jersey police officer, and he's been hailed as a hero because he risked his own life to save dozens of animals from a local pet shop which was on fire. And honestly, I mean, this just is another example of the wonderful compassion that so many police officers and firemen have, you know, that they have. They rescue animals, you know, so often from floods and fire and trapped in drains. I mean, I heard of some little ducklings that were trapped in a drain not that long ago. Mother duck was flying around, you know, trying to, you know, calling out to her babies. And the fire department arrived and saved all these little ducklings. So, you know, they do actually have a lot of compassion. So, onto the environment, and there's a couple of stories from the environment I just wanted to run past you. There were volunteers in India planted 50 million trees in 24 hours. So that is like, that's stunning. That must be a record. That surely could go into the Guinness World, you know, Book of Records. 50 million trees, that is an awful lot. So well done, India. Portugal, they ran its entire nation solely on renewable energy for 4 days in a row. Now that actually sort of, that too is just brilliant. I'm not sure the reason behind it. I am assuming that it was an experiment to see if they could do it. And hopefully Portugal now is going to keep building on that and finally become totally renewable energy, which would be brilliant, and not have to rely on fossil fuels. And I tell you what, every country should take a leaf out of Portugal's book on this one. Going back to France again, France earlier this year made the throwing away of food illegal. That's not the food off your plate, you know, from just your house. We're talking about supermarket food. No longer can the supermarkets can throw this food away, this good food. It has to be donated. So that is brilliant. But what made me chuckle a little bit was like, I wonder how the freegans are going to get on without, you know, being able to go dumpster diving anymore and getting their free food. But hey, listen, you know, France actually has got some amazing environmental policies, and well done, France. I'm going to finish on a story that I read about that really kind of touched my heart. And it was proof positive that people power actually win and actually rocks. An Australian mining company called Oceanic Gold had a contract to build a massive gold mine in the country Cabanas, which is in El Salvador. And what would have happened is it would have depleted their last remaining water source had this gone ahead. So Cabanas actually told this company to naff off, no, and they refused totally to issue any permits. Well, Oceanic Gold, being a very typical corporation, decided, no, you can't do that with corporations. You know, we rule the world. So they filed a lawsuit against El Salvador. But people power worldwide got in on the act and the lawsuit was dropped. Brilliant win. Fabulous. But the topping on this was that, in fact, Oceanic Gold had to pay El Salvador compensation and to cover their court costs. And it's like, that was brilliant. I loved that story, from the sheer kind of like the strength of Cabanas for hanging out there and for saying, no, you are not taking our water source. And Cabanas is just a little tiny little wee spit of a country. And, you know, El Salvador as well. I mean, just well done. And the people who got in on the act. What it says is that if you see a petition hanging around anywhere and that is something that you believe in, go sign it. Doesn't matter which country it is about. This is what it is, being a global community. Let's all hang together. So it's been a great year for a lot of things. Hopefully 2017 is just going to build on this, that there are going to be more people out there becoming a lot more aware of the environment, a lot more aware of their animals, reducing the amount of animal consumption that is both in food and in things like leather and all of that sort of thing. So, yeah, let's all hope that 2017 is going to be brilliant. I feel that it will. I want to take this opportunity to thank you very much for supporting me. You know, I had a win. I started this YouTube channel, something that I've wanted to do for a long time. So, yeah, and there's been one or two people have actually viewed it. It's like, sweet. If you have any, if you've heard of any great wins that have happened this year, please put them in the comments below. Also, too, if you want to subscribe, sweet, you don't have to. But listen, you have a fabulous 2017. I will see you next year. And in the meantime, be compassionate to animals and humans. Just go out and enjoy your life and enjoy good food. Bye.